Hey, it's Christiana from EDM NYC. I'm here with Ricoshëi. They just got off the main stage at Mysteryland. Welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about the vibe and how you're feeling right now? You're buzzing, I'm sure.
Buzzing is a good word to say. Yeah, it's awesome and very, very special, to say the least. I mean, you watch, it's on a hill, the main stage. You kind of have this view across the entire spread of the lawn and everything, and awesome vibes. Everyone's very, very, very responsive to everything. Yeah, it was awesome.
Do you have any comments on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, we rushed, like I was telling you before, we rushed from DC basically at 4 or 5 in the morning, not even like 6 in the morning, after we finished playing last night with Eric Prids, and we barely slept. Jake drank a whole bottle of tequila. Nice. And it was really gratifying to get here and just pick up the vibe of the people who were just like really into it, and it was really nice.
So I researched your record label a little bit.
Which one is that?
What's that? Is that you guys, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So what's that?
Because we release on different, but that's our label.
Right, your label, your baby.
We just started that. We just have one release on it.
Right. And I read that it's unexpected genres.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that a little bit and what you mean by that?
For sure. I grew up as a jazz pianist. My parents both play piano, not professionally, but I was always surrounded by music, and Jake plays a little bit of the saxophone and a couple of other things. And so, I don't know, I mean, just with traveling, my mom was born in the Philippines, and my dad is half Mexican, half American, so it's like just a big mixture of things, and you pick up things as you travel. So we try to absorb, Jake's mom's Japanese, for example, so we try to absorb as much as we can from different cultures. I don't know if you heard a part of the set or the whole set today, but we played, for example, a song called the sap, or tokubetsu. Toku is like super Japanese influence. The sap has this super Middle Eastern vibe, borderline like kind of Indian, Middle Eastern. It's kind of like in between. So it just depends, and that's what we mean by that whole unexpected thing, because maybe the next record might be somebody else that has nothing to do with electronic music, but maybe we'll team up with them and we'll make something, or we'll try to make something special that
as long as it makes you dance.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so you guys are still kind of branding yourselves, it seems. What made you want to kick off this record label?
I think it was mostly because we wanted a platform to be able to release our stuff. We didn't want to have someone else dictate how we release our art, and it's not necessarily like we're trying to really push the label right off the bat, but when we have releases that we want to put out, we don't have to wait for like a year scheduling or 8-month scheduling. I mean, if it's the right fit, yes, but for the most part, we have a lot of material, and a lot of other people have material that needs to get out there, and like I said, it needs a platform, and it's easier just to work for yourself and say, hey, let's do this, let's work with the distribution and all that kind of stuff. So so far so good.
I'd like to add something.
Okay.
With that said, I mean, we love the labels that we release on. We're by no means saying, hey, we'd rather release on our label. In fact, we'd rather release on any label. But sometimes it's just with this whole multi-genre kind of weird thing, it's hard to know where to put it, especially you got a record label like Pampa, which released Perfect Like You, and then you have something like Kitsune, which our release comes out tomorrow.
That's exciting.
Monday,
the new song with this girl called Fiona. But my point is that every label that we are either have released or are releasing on, we treat them as family, and we want to convey that to everybody, because it's very important to treat your labels like you would treat a brother, or it's from the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, one of you. What's the name behind what's the story behind the name? Sorry.
Ooh, well, it's a play on both of our names. I don't know how much detail we should get into the coming up with it.
Oh no, I want to.
We call it a epiphany. It's when you have an epiphany while you're peeing. And so we were in the studio, and he came.
That's amazing.
Epiphany, and Nico came back and goes, I just had an epiphany. He goes, Ricoshëi. because it's both of our names. I would call him Rico in the beginning, and he would call me Shay. And then he came back and said Ricoshay, and then we started getting into the phonetics of it a little bit more and making it a little bit more exotic, and then the rest is history.
Awesome.
And the double dot on top of the E kind of represents that it's two of us.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look at the what's that logo, it's the double dot on top of the question mark at the end of the logo as well.
Right.
So I'm on the bottom of the question mark. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. We know what you meant.
Because if it was on top, it'd be weird.
Yeah. And how did you guys come to be? Have you guys been friends your whole lives, or?
We have been friends for probably like 6 years or so. We met. He was in another band actually. I went and saw his show like back in the day, and then a couple years went by, and I do events in LA as well. And he had contacted me about playing a show, or he was back in LA, I think, looking for a couple gigs over the weekend. So we played like 2 or 3 shows in LA together, and then we had a little powwow in Detroit at Demp, which is this weekend as well.
Yeah.
So I guess it's almost like our anniversary.
Amazing.
And so yeah, we partied in Detroit and had a real good time in Detroit, and then linked back up in LA, and it turned out that we lived like a block away from each other.
Oh, wow.
And LA's
Perfect.
massive, so we
Yeah.
ended up working on music kind of out of our home studios to start, and then both actually went and did different. We were just doing it casually, and then both kind of went and did different projects in different cities, and then linked back up and got a studio together in LA 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that.
Awesome.
And just we're working on stuff since, and it really kind of came together. We're making all kinds of different genres and kind of all over the board with,
Right.
in terms of like the spectrum of music. And we thought, hey, maybe we should do something that's a moniker as opposed to just both of us individually, and kind of develop the brand, and that's it pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
And then we spend every day all day together now. No,
You guys always get along?
Yeah,
We do.
For the most
Do
part.
you?
I mean for as much time as we spend together, I would say for sure.
For sure.
That's good.
I mean, like he was saying, I've had other projects, other bands, and there can be tension, for sure. Especially, for example, when you're on tour and you've been playing 9 shows in 10 days across 10,000 miles, and you're driving around or on a tour bus or whatever, you can get sick. You can physically sick.
Yeah.
So. This is a true story. So you can get sick, and you can get moody, and you can get I don't know if I can say this, but bitchy, and
Totally.
I
How I feel after sleeping in a tent last night.
right. So you can kind of take it out on the other person, and it but at the end of the day, you work around it. You work through it, not around it. You work through it, and it just makes the partnership and the band, if we can call it a band, if it's
Yeah.
just 2 people, but the duo or whatever,
Right.
it makes it stronger as an entity, I think, because you can work around problems, and then if you have problems that don't have to do between Jake and I, like, hey, let's work around a problem with production in some festival, not this one, of course, but in some weird situations in some countries or whatever, you get there and there's nothing, or like there's like the backline's wrong or the keyboard's wrong or whatever, and you just being able to work around the problems that we have personally, that the few problems that we've had, has helped us be able to work around stress-free in those kind of professional situations where you kind of have to keep your head cool and make things work, especially on tight schedules.
For sure. All right, and one last question. You guys seem pretty interesting talking to you for a minute. Do you guys have any hidden talents besides your music that you might want to talk about that your fans don't know about?
I'm a great masseuse.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ooh. How about you?
Soccer player.
That's the second one we got today. Yeah?
Played competitive soccer growing up,
Nice. All right.
and now in this career.
I wasn't
Kicking
really
balls, pushing buttons,
Yeah,
same
exactly.
thing.
We're Ricoshëi. We're here with EDM NYC. I'm Nico. This is Jake. We're at Mysteryland USA 2015.